Welcome to the Explainer. So today we're looking at a question that is incredibly old. I mean, literally carved into temple walls way before humanity ever even thought to write down a single equation. A century ago, modern physics completely tripped over a crack in our picture of reality. They found this strange, honestly deeply unsettling behavior of matter that frankly science still hasn't fully recovered from. We are about to explore this breathtaking mystery that sits right smack in the middle of hardcore quantum mechanics and ancient philosophy. Okay, let's dive into this philosophical detective story. Is consciousness the ultimate observer? See, for hundreds of years, we just assumed the universe existed perfectly fine whether anyone was looking at it or not, right? Stars ignited, galaxies spun around, atoms collided, all in complete silence and darkness. But when physicists finally looked deep into the subatomic world, well, that certainty completely dissolved. Part 1, the quantum crack, the double-slit experiment. To really understand why that certainty dissolved, we have to look at a very gentle but deeply disturbing test, the famous double-slit experiment. Imagine you fire a single electron toward a barrier with two tiny slits. It doesn't just pass through one hole like a solid little billiard ball and land in a single spot. No, until it actually lands, it's mathematically described by what we call the wave function. It doesn't have one single position. It exists as this shimmering cloud of potential positions, basically exploring every possible path at the exact same time. And this isn't just some wild theory either. It has been proven with terrifying precision. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the sheer contrast in how reality behaves based entirely on whether it's being watched. Think about it. If we leave the doorways unwatched, the electron acts as a wave of probability, creating this banded interference pattern. But the instant we put a detector at the doorways, just to watch which path the electron takes, the wave behavior completely vanishes. It acts like a definite, solid particle and just creates two plain clusters. The universe literally behaves one way when you ask it a question and a completely different way when you don't. Which brings us to what physicists call the measurement problem. How, and more importantly, why, does this foggy cloud of possibilities suddenly snap into a single, definite fact the very instant it's measured? Generations of brilliant physicists, we're talking Niels Bohr, Hugh Everett, completely scattered on what this transition actually means. It even sparked this wild idea from early pioneers like John von Neumann and Eugene Wigner that, well, perhaps human consciousness itself is the final link in the chain that causes reality to collapse into a definite state. Part 2. A universe without eyes, the timeline paradox. But here's the thing. The moment you make human awareness the author of physical reality, you run into a massive, glaring flaw. If the universe needs a mind to become real, what exactly was happening before we got here? 13.8 billion years. That is exactly how long the universe has existed. It was burning, turning, and building these grand structures for nearly 14 billion years without a single human brain around to measure or observe any of it. Let's walk through this cosmic timeline to really put those numbers into perspective. At 380,000 years, the first neutral atoms formed and ancient light finally flew free. Then, for tens of millions of years, we had the cosmic dark ages, just drifting in blackness. Around 13.5 billion years ago, cosmic dawn happened and the first massive stars ignited, literally forging the very atoms that would eventually make up our brains in those stellar furnaces. The Earth itself formed 4.5 billion years ago, and if you scale the entire history of the universe down to a single calendar year, conscious observers like us don't even arrive until the final few hours of the very last day. This forces us to ask a totally staggering question. Can existence exist without being known? I mean, it seems completely absurd that a universe could patiently hang in a suspended fog of maybe for billions of years, just waiting for a conscious creature to blink awake and make it all real, right? This scientific paradox perfectly sets the stage for humanity's oldest philosophical answers. Part 3. The ultimate observer, mind as the foundation. So let's cross the boundary from hardcore physics into ancient philosophy for a moment. And just to be perfectly clear here, we're exploring deeply fascinating possibilities, not scientifically verified facts. Back in the 18th century, philosopher George Berkeley gave this audacious answer to the riddle. He argued, to exist is to be perceived. When people asked him if a tree in an empty courtyard simply vanishes when no one's looking at it, his answer was no. Why? Because, he argued, reality is steadily held in being by an infinite, ceaseless perceiver. The watching, it never stops. What is truly staggering about this is how completely separated cultures and civilizations arrived at the exact same shape for their answer. Whether you're looking at Berkeley's sustaining perceiver, or the Vedic concept of the silent, observing Sakshi, the omniscient God of the Abrahamic faiths, or even Alfred North Whitehead's cosmic process philosophy, they all pointed to the exact same thing: an unbroken awareness that never sleeps, observing, and therefore sustaining, existence itself. And this brilliantly illustrates a modern scientific parallel proposed by the legendary physicist John Archibald Wheeler. He called it "it from bit." The core concept suggests that every particle, field, and force in the universe derives its existence fundamentally from information, from answers to yes or no questions. So modern quantum information theory hints that reality might not actually bottom out in matter, but in a code. But if reality is indeed a code, does that code require a reader?
Part 4. The Skeptic's Case, Quantum Mechanics Without Mystery. Okay, before we get completely carried away by wonder, we have to look at the cold, hard physics. Here is the mechanical breakdown of how the universe actually measures itself, through a process called decoherence. Step 1. A particle drifts in a delicate quantum superposition. Step 2. It just brushes against a stray photon or a single air molecule. Step 3. The moment it becomes entangled with that environment, the quantum fog dissipates. And Step 4. The interference pattern is blindly automatically washed away, trillions of times a second, without a human brain in sight. The skeptic's takeaways here are incredibly powerful. First off, decoherence is practically instantaneous for anything larger than a speck of dust. It perfectly explains why we don't see everyday objects like, coffee cups or cats existing in two places at once. And crucially, it requires no soul, no God, and zero conscious observers. It's really just particles bumping into other particles. However, there is one flaw we must honestly acknowledge. While decoherence explains why the world looks definite, the problem of outcomes, basically why one specific outcome actually becomes our reality out of all the possibilities, well, that remains stubbornly unsolved. Let's move to and see how this builds into part 5. Who observes the observer, the infinite regress? So, if every observer needs to be made real by another observer, what makes that second observer real? Another observer? And another? We instantly fall into this endless hall of mirrors. That infinite regress can only be stopped by one thing, something that is at once the seer and the seen. Awareness is the single phenomenon in the universe that can turn back on itself. It can be conscious of being conscious. So self-awareness closes the loop by needing no outside watcher. As we wrap up this explainer, we're left to neutrally lay out 3 grand possibilities side by side. First, the physical machine. This says reality is exhaustively physical and consciousness is just a mundane byproduct of the brain. Very economical, favored by science. Second, the mental fabric. This flips it, saying matter actually emerges within consciousness, making the universe fundamentally mental, which neatly explains why we have subjective experience at all. Or third, the eternal observer. An eternal awareness holds existence simply by knowing it, acting as the ultimate witness that closes the regress by needing no watcher. And look, neither physics nor philosophy can completely prove which of these is the absolute truth. So, the crucial point is this, and it is absolutely phenomenal. You are made of atoms forged inside ancient stars. Structurally speaking, you are literally a piece of the universe, and you are aware. That means through you, the cosmos has opened an eye to observe itself. You are, quite literally, the universe waking up. And that leaves us with a lingering, truly profound mystery. It's not a problem buried billions of light years away in space. It is sitting right there, within the very awareness processing my words right now. If reality only becomes real once it is known, then what exactly is doing the knowing? I'll leave you to chew on that one. Thanks for joining me for this explainer.